In the past, I guess this past session, we passed over 1,000 pieces of legislation. Most of that would deal with appropriation bill. We passed roughly $35 million in tax cuts. Let me think about that now. It's not but 8 states is in the condition that Arkansas is in. That number we just got the number just the other day. That are able to cut that $1 million in tax cut without even cutting out necessary things that we need and the service that we need. We was able to cut $35 million in taxes, and I think that is something great for us to be able to do. But I don't want to cut those taxes. That's a little something in there for everyone, for businesses, for families, and individuals, and I believe it is a measure that will keep a little extra money in our pockets. Aside from reducing the grocery tax another half-cent, we also reduced the tax on manufacturers pays on utilities, which supporters believe that it will not only help the state attract new jobs, but keep those new jobs that we already have in the state. We also passed a much-needed tax credit for low-income and single head of house with 2 or more dependents. Basically some relief for struggling single parents. In addition, we made it a little easier on used car deals. Now, I think Lamar might have supported this bill. This bill, he was up there every day. So this bill, you know, a used car tax was like, I think, $2,500, but now we increased it to $4,000. So that's another thing. It's a little more money. You buy a car from individual, $3,000, now you still have to pay in the tax on it. Or from a new dealer, you have to pay in the tax on it. So that's a little bit we gave back to the folks that have a little bit of money to put back into their pocket. And a big one that we talked about, and I guess that's to be in the next following week, is the holiday tax. The holiday tax that will be in August, where you go to school, buy clothing under $100 will be accessory to equipment, will be up to $50. This is something that other states have made a success with, and hopefully we can do the same thing here in Arkansas. I hope that the merchants are getting prepared for the big rush of that holiday tax. Let me talk a little bit about the budget and the upcoming physical session. A week ago, or several weeks ago, you heard that the announcement that the state ended with a $93 million ahead of budget last forecast. Now, it's the first time in 3 years that the state had ended the year with more revenue than projected. This means that we have a $4.5 billion in net revenue available to spend. That's nearly 6% above last year's. This reflects economic growth of 2010. So you see, even though it's not as much, but there's some movement here in the state of Arkansas. So that recovery is I think, is greatly needed and shows that we are moving in the right direction. Now, folks is already talking about how y'all going to spend them, how this money going to be spent, how is the state going to spend this funding money. Although there is a positive sign that we must agree that it's still to proceed with a caution the same way we did during a regular session in spending that money. Some say it should be spending on those tax cuts that we did. Some say that we have a Medicare budget that faces a major shortfall. It can be used on it. And of course, as always, education is always out there. So there's several ways that money be spent. Matter of fact, the Speaker of the House sent out a memo to us last week saying that we're going to call us in maybe a couple weeks early to go over the plans on procedures of how we're going to get familiarized and doing the physical session that's coming up. And that physical session is basically what it is. It's a physical session deal with budgetary, the monetary items, you know. And the thing about the state of Arkansas, we have, and I guess Representative Maddox will know about this, we have what we call a Revenue Stabilization Act that's in place that we don't have to deal with what they deal in Washington. We can't spend no more than you have, so we got that money set right there so we can balance out our budget. So that's the good thing we have here in the state of Arkansas. And as well as some a physical session that in order for us for legislation to be introduced, it must have a concurrent resolution describing the bill that has been passed, and it must take a 2/3 majority in both chambers. As known as education, the primary focus of a legislative session, in fact, that we continue to budget very conservative, which I'll touch on a little bit more when you're talking about schools from K through K-12 education was one of the few areas that saw a slight increase in funding. We increased the school funding from $600 to $100 to in this upcoming year to $600 to $200 in the year after that. We not only was concerned with ensuring that the court mandated equitable and adequate funding for our students, but we want to make sure that our district have the tools they need to continue the growth and improvement that have been seen in our education system. We also passed Act 1209, which implement major teachers evaluation reforming. At our college level, the low graduation rates continue to be a concern. Education is the key, not only for kids in the future, but for the future economic development of our state. When we're dealing with education, we know that we have a problem with our literacy rate. We must continue to educate our kids. We must make sure that the tools are there for our kids to be educated and do all we can to make sure that we have a workforce in South Arkansas that is educated workforce. Another issue that became a major focus in this session was the prison reform. Now this prison reform, I guess Representative Malley knows that that's something they dealt with in the last session, but we decided to take it up and carry it on over into this session now. This was something that I know that there was a big battle because myself, I know I talked to Sheriff Lowe and well as Sheriff Norwood up in Washita County to find out exactly right where we were on that because I really didn't know too much of how it was going, but we was able to get the governor and the leadership of the Arkansas Sheriff Association and others together to come to some type of compromise so we'd be able to get that bill passed. And that bill, with what was skyrocketing prison costs, and I believe the Act 57 would help that. It changed some sentencing guidelines for non-violence offenders. It won't release any of those current prisoners. Of course, as always, we're going to keep those in jail behind bars that we're definitely afraid of that's going to do harm. Based on the research from national research as well as in the state of Arkansas, we are going to expand that program that would help be approving the work and like same way our drug courts is done. Another thing that we dealt with was the congressional redistricting. You know, that was a big talk, and a lot of you have called me about that situation, whether the 4th district was going to stay intact and how the 2nd and 3rd. We did our best. It was a hard, grueling session to try to, matter of fact, that's one of the things that left us on, kept us there longer than we did, was trying to deal with the redistricting. And the second thing that we deal with, that we're dealing with now, is the apportionment of the state Senate and the House district. Which I told Jamie she was kind of worried about whether we were going to get here on time, and that's what we was dealing with on the phone and trying to do some conference, trying to get those districts grown. The district that I'm representing, which is part of Columbia County and parts of Washita County and Nevada County, it's going to have to expand. It's going to have to expand to, this district lost some 6,000 people in this district. And where they all went, I guess they all went north or went somewhere. But it wasn't here. But you know, I really don't think all those people was lost. I think a lot of those censuses this was not turned in. I can't see 6,000 people leaving out of this district and moving somewhere else. I think that those numbers is just one adequate taken down the census, and some part or another we're having to suffer from that. We're hopeful that to continue the precedent that was set in 2010 in conducting a positive and effective physical session. It will only last 30 days, and the extension would have to be passed by both chambers by a 3/4 vote, and it could only be passed by both chambers for that to be extended. But look here, I hope that I am doing a wonderful job as your representative. And if I can help out in any kind of way, assist you in any kind of way, your friends, your neighbors, please, just tell them to give me a call. Give me a call. And I guarantee that I told you when I first elected, I'll do my best and I'll work hard. And I will continue to work hard as long as I'm on that as your representative. Thank you so very much. Thank you for this opportunity. Representative Mallett.
You mentioned redistricting, and it appears that your district will go into Lafayette County, maybe get Buckner's, Hampton, part of Louisville, and so I just want to see what you thought about that, and caution you before your answer that Miss Mary Joseph lives over there, so answer right.
You know, Representative Mack, that is the plan for that district is wrong. We did have to go all the way through Buckner, through Stamps, and through Louisville to not only picked up that area, it also went up through the projected plan it is now that is going that way. Plus, part of Nevada County, which it didn't have all of Nevada County, but in order to pick up more numbers, it had to go up into Willisville and Ralston and Kell and all that area up in there. So the district it expanded. It expanded. Like I said, it was 6,000 people that we had to pick up, and I tell you, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be another wild wind to circle around and you're able to represent all those parts. Now, the way it's grown now, I think we're back with 3. I think with 3 representatives in Columbia County that the way the district was grown. So we've only had 2. Have been added and another one in too with the map that was released. It also is tying us in with other incumbents. That's something else that we're working on, trying to shift things around in order to